let's have a little chat about borders, both in the U.S. and Australia, and how political parties on the left are happy to go squishy on the subject until somebody notices. Fascinating little tidbit in the news this week out of Australia, which did not get perhaps as much play as it should have. It seems that in the first month of the new Labour Albanese government, you know, the one that spent the entire campaign promising to be tough on illegal boat arrivals, authorities intercepted 125 would-be asylum seekers trying to get to Australia unlawfully by sea. That is, by the way, for the record, the highest number we've seen since 2015. Now, there are a lot of reasons behind this, not the least of which being the Sri Lankan government's attempt to implement the World Economic Forum playbook, which resulted predictably in economic immiseration, starvation, riots, and of course, people wanting to leave the country. Who could have seen that coming? But you have to wonder if there is another reason they're targeting Australia, namely the arrival of a Labour government, which talked tough on borders during the campaign, but which during that same campaign was often caught talking out of both sides of its mouth, with the people smugglers taking notice. Now, of course, 125 illegal arrivals in a month is nothing like the United States, where they are seeing something on the order of 200,000 illegal aliens crossing the border every single month, which is a bit like adding 2 Adelaides to the United States every year.
God forbid.
Without the nice architecture and hip new restaurants. Now, all those people have to go somewhere, and of course, that is causing quite a dilemma for local leaders in the United States. For years, illegals had mostly wound up congregating around the U.S. border in places like Texas and California and Arizona, while so-called progressive Democrats, but they're really regressive, you know, in places like New York and Washington, who are responsible for encouraging the country's essentially open border policy, felt no impact. But now, local political leaders on the border are wising up and giving these Democrats a taste of their own medicine. And all of a sudden, just like that, the Democrats oppose illegal immigration. Who would have thunk it? I know, right? For months, if not years now, the Biden administration has been secretly flying illegals around the country, including countless unaccompanied migrants, in an operation that many have compared to people smuggling, to distribute aliens around the nation to often unsuspecting communities. Now, the Biden administration's apologists have claimed that these are just routine transfers, but this is what is not routine. Border state governors like Texas's Greg Abbott have gotten in on the act and given the Democrats a taste of their own medicine. And guess what? The left is not happy. But then again, really, when is the left happy? I mean, you know, they don't seem like very happy people, you know? Always scowling, no jokes, comedians banned. But recently, Governor Abbott has started sending illegals who'd landed in Texas with the encouragement, the tacit encouragement of the Biden administration's feckless policies, border policies. He's been sending them to Washington, D.C. And the D.C. government is not happy about it, because apparently 5,100 illegals sent by Texas have been sent to the nation's capital, and the Democrat mayor is saying her city is, at a tipping point.
Tipping point?
Tipping point.
5,000?
5,100, thank you very much, Rita, but sorry, excuse me, but what does the mayor there think it's like for border communities? The clueless Mayor Bowser and other Democrats who all take an all-care, no-responsibility approach to open borders are now being mugged by reality as their own local health services and police forces and everything else cop a hammering. Indeed, the Washington, D.C. government has even asked for the help of the National Guard, the same National Guard that the left demanded sit on its hands during the Black Lives Matter riots of 2020. Governor Abbott responded to this hypocrisy on Twitter, writing, D.C. is experiencing a fraction of the disastrous impact the border crisis has caused Texas. Mayor Bowser should stop attacking Texas for securing the border and demand Joe Biden do his job, he added. And really, why should Mayor Bowser complain? I mean, she recently declared her city open to all comers, declaring Washington, D.C. is a sanctuary city.
Hello.
We protect the rights and humanity of all our residents, and our hashtag DC values and our local culture are guided by a celebration of diversity and inclusivity. There's that inclusivity word again. Yes. Always watch out for that. It's the same story in New York, where Mayor Eric Adams is also struggling after declaring the Big Apple a sanctuary city and seeing the border states take up the offer in response.
This is a real burden on New Yorkers as we're trying to do the right thing. We already, as I stated, we already have an overburdened shelter system. So now we're talking about, as you stated, food, clothing, school. This is going to impact our schools because we do not turn away individuals because they're undocumented. Translation services. There's just a whole host of things that this is going to produce, and that's why we need help in getting this done, and we need the right coordination to make it happen.
Now, of course, this brings up the question, I was thinking about this, what is the difference between the Biden administration flying illegals around the country in the dead of night and Republican governors sending illegals elsewhere on buses in broad daylight? Well, for the answer, let's go to the always articulate, super consistent, hyper-intelligent Karine Jean-Pierre. Take it away, KJP.
What's the difference between Texas busing migrants to D.C. and the federal government flying migrants to, say, New York in the middle of the night in other cities?
It's very different because we're not doing it as using migrants as a political pawn.
Political pawn?
Oh, dear.
Checkmate, more like it.